What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk about Healthy Choices Management, ticker is HCMC. I do want to give you a good breakdown of the Q2 earnings, which a lot of which were very positive. I also want to talk on how the QCUP is making a comeback. I'm going to talk about all of that and what that means for investors. Before I get into any of that, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. With that though, let's get right to it. So as far as the Q2 earnings, a lot of things were very positive, which they do highlight at the very beginning. So record sales, 6.1 million, up 81.1% from the year over year. Then record gross margin of 2.3 million, up 59.3% from year over year. Again, that is astronomical, especially for a over-the-counter stock. The only thing my sidestep what I'm thinking about is a lot of the attributing factors for the grocery chain, which I'm going to break it down as far as overall sales, were technically a little bit slumped from 2021 because they were still citing issues related to COVID. So last year was a little bit lower as far as sales, which would give this year a little bit more of an overinflated number. But at the end of the day, it's still very much accurate. So just take that how you see that. Loss from operations is 1.4 million versus 700,000, which in reality they do attribute it to the vape sales, about them closing all the stores. In reality though, I don't think that is very true. And looking on their actual earnings, it does look like between December 2021 and April 2022, that's when they closed the majority of their vape stores. So in Q2, that would only have roughly about 1 month. So the end of March obviously is the tail end. That's all included in Q1. So as far as having actual losses, that much losses attributed to just the vape store, I think that's completely BS, but that's my own 2 cents. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But despite all that though, maybe I'm just a little bit more sour because I actually did really like the vape store and the QCUP attributes of HCMC, but still there is a lot of positive things coming out about the QCUP that definitely a lot of investors need to keep in mind. And the reasons why I like that is just the profit margins. Profit margins were significantly higher. Obviously it didn't really fit in with HCMC's grand scheme of where they wanted to go and the healthy wellness movement that they were trying to encumber. So that's basically it. Just wasn't in the company's bigger picture. So 6 months 2022 net results. So net sales from operations for the 6 months ending on June the 30th was 11.2 million compared to 6.9 million, and that is a 63.2% increase. Overall though, this little comment right here is very interesting. So it says that we're investing strategically in the business as evidenced by our acquisitions. In the end though, I find that comment a little bit more interesting because typically any other stock that I do cover, they're starting to slow down. They're not really doing as many acquisitions in anticipation of a possible recession or even just higher inflation or whatever it is. A lot of companies are actually slowing down, whereas it does look like, based on that comment, looks like they're actually trying to buy and make as much movement as possible. So that's my own 2 cents on how I interpreted that. But when it comes to it though, as far as their actual earnings, there is some positive things. As far as some red flags that did come to me is that overall cash did go down quite a lot. But keep in mind though, there was a significant jump in obviously property, goodwill, right of use as well. So a lot of things went up in that regard. But as far as sales, vape sales was roughly about 6,000. Keep in mind from this time last year was almost 600,000. So that was a pretty big blow, but it does look like the grocery sales did actually accommodate for that. So previously last year was 2.7 million versus now 6 million. So clearly the grocery stores and the chains are doing what they are intended. And even outside of that though, it goes over the cost of vapor. So clearly doing the vapor, this is where I really did like as far as the vape stores, because look at this. Vape sales 6,000, and then the cost of vape sales is basically 562. So very, very minimal, huge profit margins there. Whereas the grocery chain, look at the cost to actually operate for the sales is 3.8 million. So it's just one of those things. But at the end of the day, the last couple of videos of HCMC that I've been doing, I always said that they needed to do something with the vape sales, and they do have a lot of patents around the cigarette basis, which basically is what they're not trying to encumber within their business. So they're trying to move away from that. So I thought that they should try and sell those assets instead of obviously trying to capitalize on that. But it does look like they did revamp a lot of their website for the QCUP. So they clearly thought it was beneficial to close up some of their stores and revamp their website, which does make sense. And even like I said, based on the sales, clearly shows the website does what it's supposed to do. Obviously, they're not capitalizing on it as best as possible. I still feel it's beneficial for them to sell all of their QCUP kind of attributes and assets and patents and everything like that, because like I said, I feel like this QCUP is a very big deal and HCMC is just not doing it justice. So I personally feel, even despite the ramp up in the actual website, they need to sell it. My own 2 cents as well. I know I keep saying that, a broken recorder, but still it's one of those things that it is a very beneficial thing. A lot of people do want that, and this is going to be very big in the future. Just technically it's gone through some hiccups, plain and simple. But when it comes down to it though, one positive thing is the amount of volume that's been getting in. And technically we've still been barcoding between the 0001 and 0002, but it's been a little bit more oriented towards the 0002. So insinuating we actually might break out of this damn rut that we've been on for the last little bit. So again, that might be something positive to look forward to, especially with the bump up in volume. Let me know in the comments below if you've been actually buying HCMC recently, or if you're just diamond handing it for a big movement for HCMC in the future. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. And one funny thing I just wanted to share with you is that when it comes down to over-the-counter stocks, typically shorts like to manipulate it. They like to make as much profit as possible, and despite us being as low and kind of diluted as possible, being between the 0001 and 0002, it's not really advantageous for shorts to get in on this. So it's funny to see, ever since the earnings did come out, short interest generally moved upwards, which given the circumstances of the earnings didn't really make justifiable sense. It goes to show how over-the-counter stocks, especially if you don't have sufficient amount of volume, definitely it could be manipulated. So that's my own 2 cents of what's happening behind the scenes and why there might be more volume physically getting in because of the shorts. So you can see recently it did hit a high of 60.67% short interest. It has gone down to 37.93 as of right now, but still, it's one of those things that happens with over-the-counter stocks that you definitely need to keep in mind. Like I always say, this is only for entertainment purposes, so make sure you do your own due diligence at the end of the day. I personally feel, given the circumstances, HCMC is definitely a very good buying opportunity right now, but it definitely needs to do something with the QCUP that's a little bit more advantageous, because they could sell the rights to that, sell the patents, and still make a lot of money, which would help ultimately their bottom line for the overall cash, because that did drop down pretty significantly. So that's one of those things that they can't dilute any further, so this is the only cash that they have. Obviously, if they do want additional cash, they would need to do a reverse split and then do a offering at that stage. But given the circumstances, I feel that would kill any and all of the investor confidence out there. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. And if you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on HCMC.